Mitchell Elms, and this presentation will be on the unit Sport and Exercise Psychology, and it'll be about the group dynamics in the sport environment. So the first I'm going to is the group processes, which there's differences between a group and a team. A group is a number of people or things that are located, gathered, or classed together, and compared to a team, which is a group of players forming one-sided competitive game of sport. The next slide is the stages of group development, which is forming, storming, norming, and performing. Forming is bringing a team together from individuals and trying to group them up together. And in this stage, the coaches and physios will try and bond the players together. So they do set tasks like team building exercises. Storming is where it's in the name, so you brainstorm ideas together as a team with the coaches to try and come up with what you want for the upcoming season through the start, middle and end. Norming is where you start moving to teams and then start to put in place the goals and start training to try and meet them goals. So you do specific training, you have certain meetings at different times, so you have team meetings, maybe you have a phone call between certain groups of players. And the next stage is performing, and then by this stage the members of all the teams should be able to have a good understanding of what each of their roles consist of as an individual and how they must act to achieve the group goals. The next slide is Steiner's model of group effectiveness. This model shows the relation between individuals' own abilities, all the resources on a team, and how they interact with each other. So there is an equation for this and how it's all worked out. The equation is the actual productivity of the team, which is equals to the potential productivity of the group, and the 40 group processes, which is the poor communication within the team. So what the model says is that a team will rarely perform at its fullest potential due to minor or insignificant poor communication between the players. So for example, you have sports like football and basketball where there are more at risk of poor communication, as not everyone will be able to maybe hear them on the pitch or in the court, or certain little signals will be able to throw someone off to do one task and they do the opposite. The next one is the Ringelmann effect. The main outlook of the Ringelmann effect is looking at the size of the group and how when the groups tend to become bigger, certain individuals become less productive in that group. So when it was first discovered, it was shown that when the group with more people in there had less effort compared to a group or an individual on their own put more effort and work into the task. The next one is social learning. So this theory is the process of learning social behaviour from observing and intimidating others. So what the theory states is that learning is a conjective process that takes place in a social context. So you'll be around certain people and you might start acting or doing certain things in that certain way. So you might, if you're training with high level athletes, you might start to pick up little things that they do on the pitch that you can maybe take into your game and apply that way. The next slide I've got cohesion. Cohesion is the act or fact of forming a united whole. There are two types of cohesion. There's a task cohesion and a social cohesion. Task cohesion is the degree to which members of the group will work together to achieve common goals they have set. This could possibly be to win a game in a certain way, or end the season in a certain position. Social cohesion is a type of cohesion in which members of a team like each other or are able to interact with each other accordingly. This could potentially mean that someone who might not like someone in the team, but for the sake of the team, they will be able to function and interact with them in a good manner, in a sporting manner, so they can achieve the goal set. The next slide is factors affecting cohesion. So we have environmental, which could be where the team is located, where the training, just the overall group facilities they might have. Maybe depends on some players might live closer together, so they might have closer bonds to compare to people who live further away from them. There's also personal factors, which could be where in a lesser group or in a more of a group there's less cohesiveness. So in a bigger group, some people might tend to split off and there might be some certain individuals distance themselves from the group as well. The next slide is the relationship between cohesion and performance. So most of the studies stated that the better the team have bonded together, that the better they'll perform. And obviously when the team are less bonded together, the worse their performance will become. There are some real life examples that do show that even though a team has really good bonding and the performances don't seem to add up compared to how the studies should have stated. So this could be an example, could be the Manchester United squad of the past season, showing that clearly the team, a lot of the players are well bonded together, but their performances just aren't good on the pitch. Next we have leadership. Leadership is the action of leading a group of people in an organisation or in a team. Qualities of leadership include honesty, integrity to inspire, passion, and good communicator. There's 3 styles of leadership. You've got autocratic, democratic, and consultative. Autocratic is being able to relate to someone who's in charge, so you might look up or take inspiration from certain leaders and use that as well in your the leadership role that you have. Democratic is where the leader of the group allows everyone else in the team or group to come together to make an overall decision that they have. And consultative is the type of leadership which is task orientated and focuses on the end result rather than each individual person. And the next is behaviours. You have prescribed leaders. This is how the leaders will act and their behaviour. So prescribed leaders is the type of leader that is chosen by a higher power. So they have no say in if they're a leader. So they don't look at their qualities. They just decide that this person has the right behaviour to become the leader. Emergent leaders is where no one has been chosen specifically to be the leader. They just start to come into that role, they start forming into that role, so they start taking charge of certain tasks, certain groups, and they just start to become that one singular person. There are 3 different theories. You've got the trait theory, the behavioural theory, and the interactional theory. The trait theory focuses on identifying different personality traits and characteristics that are linked with a successful leader. People of higher power may look at this as an overall team and try to attempt to find the person that best suits what they want a leader to look like for their team. You have behavioural trait or behavioural theory, which is the theory which is based on the certain behaviours that a leader should have. So there was a study conducted in Ohio which came up with the conclusion that there are 2 certain groups of behaviours which people look for mostly. This is oriented behavioural leaders and task-oriented leaders. The next theory is the interactional theory, which is looking for a leader who best interacts with most or all of the people in a certain team as well. They can come to conclusions with solve personal disputes between players in the team and other various things they can do as well. The next thing is social facilitation. This is defined as an improvement of an individual's performance when looking at other people rather than being alone. So there's the audience effect in this, where this shows that the person believes that they are being watched, so they may act or play in a certain different way. So for example, in football, a scout might come to someone's game and they might try their best to impress. They might tend to deviate away from the game plan that was set before. So they might be calling for a ball or might try and calling for the ball a lot more, might trying to impress a lot more, and maybe start coming out of position more, try and prove themselves an individual rather than prove themselves as a team player. You've got the coaction effect, which is the effect occurs when a high level of performance in a player is presented and others in that team also do the same task. So you might have a high level athlete in Paul Pogba, and then he's doing the same task as someone who is lower, like Scott McTominay, and Scott McTominay might decide or start to look at certain things that he does well and start putting that into his own game. And then we have home advantage. Home advantage is a term used in sports when a team or individual is playing on their home turf. This meaning could be in a stadium or a court or on their cricket ground or something like that. And so there are different factors which people associate with home advantage, which have the audience. So obviously at home you have a bigger crowd to go with, so there might be more intimidating factor put onto the opponents. We might know when they play badly, or could they play worse, or better. The officials could be persuaded by the loudness of the home crowd to put forward what the home crowd wants. Maybe it's a yellow card, they might, and the fans are calling for a red, they could sway to a red. And then the home team would have a familiarity of the pitch, so they play on there consistently, so they might know exactly what needs to happen or how they should play. Then we have reasons for why people may exercise. So you've got reduced body fat, you have reduced blood pressure, lower type 2 diabetes, keeps the bones strong, maintains immune functioning, builds muscle mass, improves breathing, and boosts energy. Most of these, or all of these, are all health factors. So it could tend to be that most people who could be out of shape or want to get back into shape are looking to go back into exercise to try and get that so they have a better, healthy lifestyle. But there are also reasons as to why people may not exercise. They might not just have the time, the energy, they might not develop like the habit of going to the gym or just doing general exercise. They might not have the motivation to. Their poor diet might lead to them not being able to. It might be a bit overwhelming going into a gym and seeing all people who are trying to progress the same as you, and you might not think that that's not going to be your area which you can. You have no access to the gym or facilities which you can exercise in, and maybe you just don't see a lack of results when you do start trying, so you just slowly give up. We then have detriments of exercise adherence. So you have personal, which could be self-motivation, helps with the amount of exercise someone will do. So the more motivated they do become, the more times they want to exercise. They might go from 3 times a week to maybe 5 times a week. We have demographic variables with exercise adherence, which could be their education, income, gender, socioeconomic status. They all have strong associations with exercise. So for example, if you go to the gym, you're going to have to pay monthly or weekly potentially to be able to have access to facilities, and some people might not have that income to be able to go out and go to the gym each day, especially with travel and other stuff. We have environmental as well. So this could be where the gym is located. Like I said before, it might not be able to have the function to be able to get from place to place. It might cost them more money as well. And sometimes potentially the individual might prefer to be outside when they're working out, so they might want to find fitness classes outside. So looking for certain classes might come into a factor as well. And then we have cognitive as well, which is maybe having done exercise and sport from an early age and then stopping and then coming back. It could be like a sense of just, oh, I need to do this, it gives me something to do, or it seems like a regular thing that I do in my life. Then we have the trans-theoretical model, which is looking at, there's 5 different stages onto how someone can progress through like going for exercise. So at the stage 1, the person might not do any exercise at all. Moving on to stage 2, they might start thinking about doing exercise based on their, maybe they want to change their diet, or they've seen something and they just think, oh, I really want to look or get to that way and change my body. And then stage 3, they could be starting to exercise. It might not be regularly, it could be 1 to 3 times a week, and that maybe skip a few weeks and then go back again, so it's not regular. Stage 4, it will come up, so they'll start doing regularly, maybe 3 to 5 days of each week for less than 6 months. And stage 5 is being able to do regular exercise for more than 6 months, like 3 to 5 days. But they could come to a barrier at maybe stage 3 where they're not regularly exercising at all. So they start to lose the motivation over time. And that concludes my presentation.